Okay, so welcome to photopea. This is going to be our first picture, and the main thing I want you to do is try things out, and this is more like a timed exercise, okay? There's going to be a series of things I want you to try, but you can do things outside of that, and even if you don't try all the things that I suggest, you can still get full credit for this picture. It's really just take 20 to 30 minutes and try photopea, okay? So some of the tools that we have here, let's start with the paintbrush tool, because this gives us results right away. And one of the things that you might see is there's like a little arrow in every corner, and that means that there's tools underneath tools. Cool, but also confusing. Well, let's just click on this regular brush tool, and in the lower left hand corner we have two tiny little color chips. So one of mine is red, and when I click on it, it allows me to click on a different picture, or a different color. There we go, I got pink. And when I click and drag on the screen, it paints with pink. And I can change the shape and size of my brush, so I can make it a big brush but really, really soft. Okay, and it starts to lag a little bit. That's okay, but it has a nice fuzzy edge to it. And I can do things and change the color. And stuff like that. And if I look down further, there's also an eraser tool. And it works kind of the same way, only it cuts through everything and it reveals this checkerboard. So if I make my brush bigger and I erase some more of that, I get more of this checkerboard. Well, inside of photopea and Photoshop, this checkerboard means that it's transparent, completely transparent. And if I look over to the right, I have a layer here. So it says layers, and I have one layer called background, and there's some cutouts on it. So inside of photopea and Photoshop, you can have multiple layers of pictures. So in the layers palette off to the right, if I click on this little icon here, it kind of looks like a post-it note, I can make a new layer, and it gives me a new layer called layer 1. Oh, that's cool. And now if I switch back to the paintbrush and maybe try a different color, I can paint. Well, it seems like it works pretty much the same, so what's the big deal? Well, here's the big deal. Because I have things on layers, I can change the order of those layers. So for instance, if I take layer 1, I can click on it and drag it down and put it behind the background layer. And I can also do things like click on the word layer and call it green. So this is a way of being organized and having different layers. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. So I can paint, I can erase. What's this thing? That's different. That's a gradient. So a gradient and a paint bucket. So paint bucket, you've probably seen this before. If I click here, and that fills an area with a solid color. And if I change this to gradient, this is going to work different. If I click and drag, that's going to create a variation. So going from green to purple, because those are the two colors I have here, so it creates a range from green to purple and kind of mixes them perfectly in the middle. That's pretty cool. So if I click and drag this way, oh, that means it goes that way. If I go this way, it flips it upside down. If I make it really short, or make it really long, you know, it kind of has different effects. And I also have this sub menu here, and this gives me different angles, or different variations on this. So if I do radial, what does that do? Oh, it makes it like a circular. It kind of looks like a spotlight. If I do angled, oh, it looks like it's kind of like wrapped around there, or reflected. Okay, so these are just things to try, right? So what are some other things we can try? Well, I've heard Photoshop allows you to edit pictures. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, hang on. Alright, so I went to find a picture of myself, so I typed in my name and Googled myself, and then I went back to photopea, and I go to paste. Oh, look at that cool guy. And it gives me a new layer when I paste in a picture. We call it the Mr. G layer. And if I go to edit, and I go to transform or free transform, it gives me these boxes in the corner. I can pull those boxes out and stretch it and make it bigger, like that. And when I'm done, you know, adjusting it, I can click this check box here, and that'll confirm it. Now, personally, I don't like this behind the background there, so I can click and drag this to the front. Sorry, these are the bells here at North where I'm teaching out of. And then I can take my green layer and I can actually mix some of these layers. And the last thing I want you to try are some filters. Okay? So I'm going to go to distort and shear. You don't have to do this exact one. And when I start to warp things, when I start to apply different filters to it, the computer starts to lag, and this is where it gets a little tricky. Okay? So right now, I've been working on this for about 8.5 minutes. I'd say if you can work on this, 10 more minutes or 20 more minutes, and then turn it in, this is a good amount of stuff to do. Okay? We tried a number of the tools on the left. We made things bigger. We made multiple layers. Okay? These are some good things to try out. Okay? So I'm going to actually... So the last things I want you to try out are the text tool. So you click on the T here. Then you can write some text and learn how that works. So if you highlight it, you can change the color of the text and change the size of the text. You can warp the text if you want to figure out that. The last thing I want you to try is selections. Okay? And to demonstrate this, I'm going to find a picture of an animal on a white background. That guy looks really fancy. Alright, and we go to edit and paste. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this magic wand tool And you can try the other ones as well. But I'm going to just select, I'm just going to click in the white area, and everything that's white that's connected, it selects. And if I push backspace, it deletes it out. And you see these little kind of like this dashed line here, that tells me what's selected. And so now I want to deselect that. And if I want to make it bigger, I can go to Edit and Free Transform. Okay, so just to kind of summarize, okay, we tried filters, transform, painting, layering. And we also tried the gradient and erasing. Okay? If you can try these things, then I'm satisfied that you have tried enough things and you can turn this picture in. This looks wacky, but that's okay. We're just trying stuff and we're going to turn it in. Do I turn it in? File, export as, and then JPEG. Okay? And this is really important that whenever you're finished with the picture, that you export it as a JPEG. If you want to keep working on your project, then you're going to want to save it as a PSD file. This project should really only take you like 1 day to do. We're going to run out of time here, but I'm going to go to JPEG, and I'm going to click Save, and that's going to download the picture to my computer. Alright, and then this is the picture that I will turn in to the Schoology page. And I'm going to do two things. So I'm going to